Hi, my name is Deborah McInerney, and I want to talk to you a little bit about special education. Special education refers to individualized programs, curriculum, and instructions designed for students with disabilities. Special education has changed a lot over time. When they first found out about education, special education in the public school systems was about 1954. And there was a court case of Brown versus the Board of Education in Topeka, Kansas. And this case was more about racial segregation and not so much about special education. But people decided to use this law, this court case, to expand and make it about special education and to show that you can't segregate anyone, that everyone is entitled to a fair and equal education. So the Brown versus Board of Education opened the door for special education in the public school system. Then in 1966, an amendment was made to the Elementary and Secondary Education Act, providing federal funds for students with disabilities. So now schools were getting money from the government for special education. And then in 1973, the Rehabilitation Act made it so that people with disabilities could not be denied benefits from any programs that received federal funding. Then in 1975, the Education for All Handicapped Children Act, which is the EHA, was signed into law, which we now know as IDEA. An IDEA Act stands for Individuals with Disability Education Act. Before this act was signed into law, there was about 1.8 million children with disabilities that were excluded from public education. And that was horrible for you not to be able to send your child. Then you put your child in a special program or they didn't get educated at all. And now with IDEA, we know that special education has come such a long way and all children are entitled to a fair and equal education in the public school systems. And the last time it was reauthorized was in 2004. But they've made changes since then. They've updated different things. So they're always working to update and improve the IDEA. In 1997, amendments were made to the IDEA so that parents could be more involved in the IEP process, which is an individualized education program. And in 2004, the No Child Left Behind Act was improved the quality of special education programs at a state level. And that made state assessment and different things unavailable. That was previously harder for special education students. Now they changed the rules and special education students have exceptions to the time limit or whatever special needs that child has. The state testing has acknowledged that. And IDEA is based on 6 things. The first is being the Individualized Education Program, which is an IEP. And parents and teachers get together and they develop this for each student. Another is free and appropriate public education. Schools must provide a curriculum with appropriate grade level standards and which follow each student's IEP. Third is giving the student a least restrictive environment, or an LRE, which is the best environment for that student to be in. This means the students with disabilities must be integrated to the fullest extent. And a student integrated into the classroom with peers who is non-disabled. The fourth one is appropriate evaluation for each student so that there won't be misidentifications. Next is parents and teachers' involvement and how they play a role in this activity, an active role, And parents have just as much say in the process as the teachers and administrations do. And the last is the procedural safeguards to protect the rights of the students with disability and their family. So if you need help, there's plenty of help for a parent to get when they're not sure of this whole process, because it's kind of overwhelming. And there's 13 categories under IDEA, which someone is classified as disabled, autism, deaf and blindness, deafness, emotional disturbance, hearing impaired, intellectual disabilities, multiple disabilities, orthopedic impairment, other health impairments, specific learning disabilities, which is a wide range. Can be a reading disability, it can be an emotional disability, so there's a wide range with that. And speed or language impairment, traumatic brain injury, and visual impairment, which includes blindness. Some common terms in special education, which are very helpful to know as a parent in special education. Accommodations is a word that you should know, which is changes that are enabling a student with special needs to fully participate in the program or in whatever is going on in the school. They need to make accommodations for that child. Modifications is changes to a student with disability is expected to learn, so they modify what's expected of them. They might be in third grade, but they're not on a third grade level, so they modify what they're learning. Mainstreaming, and that describes the practice of integrating students with special needs into a general education classroom. And that means they'll be in there for like art or gym or maybe science, or sometimes it's just the socialization aspect, which they go in at what some classes call choice time, and that's where they get to do different playing activities, STEAM, they're building, they're interacting with other students. A general education classroom is also known as a mainstream classroom, and it's inclusive classroom. A general education may include both non-disabled and disabled, but normally general education is just non-disabled, and then an inclusion classroom is a classroom with both types of students in there. A self-contained classroom is a special education classroom, and that's there to help the students with disabilities that need special support, that aren't able to go into a regular education classroom. Behavior intervention, which is also known as a BIP, and that's an IEP with strategies and supports designed to address specific behavior problems. An IEP, which I said before, was an individual education program, and that's for each student with a disability. Every student gets their own. A cumulative file, it is a record including evaluations, information regarding their special needs and their placement, and parents are allowed to have copies of those files. And differential standards for graduation just means that a special education student is not expected to have the same as that general education, but they certainly can graduate from high school. Special education has changed since the 70s for the better. There's a lot of information out there for parents to find on special education and the help they can get. Parents are their students' best advocate, so the more you know, the better it is for your child. If you have any questions or comments, or would like some helpful websites that you can go to find more information, please just ask. Thank you.